Hey everyone, and welcome. So let's talk about corporate strategic planning. For most of us, that phrase probably brings to mind some giant, dusty binder sitting on a shelf, right? But what if I told you its real job isn't about the plan at all, but about sparking real action? That's what we're going to dive into today, how to make strategy a reality.
And right off the bat, this quote it flips the whole idea on its head, doesn't it? It's saying, hey, forget the document for a second. The real goal isn't the plan itself, it's what the plan creates. We're talking about focus, actual execution, and making smarter decisions. Honestly, that's a huge shift in how most people think about this stuff.
Okay, so if it's not about just making a plan, then what in the world is it about? Like, what does this actually look like inside a company that's really crushing it? Really, when you get right down to it, strategic planning is all about transformation. Think of it as the bridge, the thing that gets you from a brilliant idea on a whiteboard to a real tangible result in the market. It's the engine that takes a big, lofty strategy and makes it part of everyone's daily job.
All right, let's get into the first big priority. We're calling it the filter. And this is so true, right? In any company, big or small, there are a million ideas floating around. Good ideas, bad ideas, crazy ideas. The real trick isn't coming up with them, it's figuring out which ones are worth your time and which ones you need to say no to. And that, right there, is the job of the filter.
And this really lays out the choice every company has to make. I mean, look at the left side. You've got this chaos of ideas. What does that lead to? Well, your resources get stretched thin, and your managers get pulled in 100 different directions. But on the right, that's where the magic happens. You've got a focused approach where only the stuff that's going to make the biggest difference actually gets the green light. The impact between these two paths, it's night and day. Now, this strategic filter isn't just some vague idea, It's a real formal process. Its whole job is to be the guardian of your company's most precious resources, your time, your money, and your team's attention. It's designed to systematically weed out all the noise, so you're left with only the absolute most critical projects. That way, every bit of effort is pushing you towards your main goal. Okay, great. So we've used our filter, we've narrowed things down to the best of the best. What's next? Well, that brings us to priority number 2, the blueprint. See, a filter tells you what to work on, but the blueprint tells you how to build it. It's literally the architectural plan for making your strategy come to life. And the whole point here is to make the strategy something you can do, not just something you can dream about. I mean, anyone can have an aspirational goal, right? They sound awesome on a PowerPoint slide. But an executable goal? That's what actually gets things done. It's the difference between shouting, "We're going to be number one," and actually having a clear, step-by-step plan for how you're going to make that happen. So how does that work? Well, it's this cascade effect. It all starts at the top with your big strategic objectives. Then you break those down into really clear KPIs, key performance indicators, so you know exactly how you'll measure success. After that, you make sure each of those KPIs has funded projects to back it up. And here's the most important part. Every single one of those projects has someone who owns it, someone who's accountable. There's no confusion. Everybody knows exactly what their piece of the puzzle is.
Okay, so we've got our focus from the filter, and we've got our instructions from the blueprint. We're ready to start building. But like any big journey, you're going to hit bumps in the road. You need a way to navigate. And that's where our third and final priority comes in, the compass. This is the system that tells you if you're still heading in the right direction and helps you steer through all the unexpected stuff.
And this compass does two really important things. First, think of it as your early warning system. It spots trouble on the horizon before it turns into a full-blown crisis. Second, it doesn't just dump a bunch of data on your desk. It gives you insights that are ready for a decision. It answers not just what's happening, but so what? Why is it happening? And what should we do about it? And at the end of the day, that's the real power of the compass. It lets your leaders be proactive, not just constantly putting out fires. It gives them the ability to make smart little adjustments as they go, so the strategy can adapt and evolve without ever losing sight of the finish line. So when you bring all three of these pieces together, the filter, the blueprint, and the compass, you don't just have three separate ideas. You have a powerful, interconnected system. And it's this system that finally transforms your strategy from a piece of paper into a living, breathing part of your company's DNA.
This table here just sums it all up so perfectly. You've got priority 1, the filter, which is all about prioritization. It gives you focus. Then you've got the blueprint, which turns that strategy into an actual execution plan. It makes it executable. And finally, the compass monitors everything, making sure you're actually delivering outcomes. See how they all connect? It's a logical flow that just keeps feeding itself, making the whole thing stronger.
And that's the whole ball game right there. This is what great strategic planning is all about. It's not about creating some static, dead document. It's about building a living, dynamic strategy, one that's focused, one that your team can actually execute, and one that, most importantly, delivers results you can actually see and measure.
So, I'll leave you with this one last question to chew on. Think about your own company, your own team. Is your strategy just a document sitting in a forgotten folder somewhere? Or is it a living, breathing reality that's actually driving you forward? Is it powered by a filter, a blueprint, and a compass? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.